iScrappers, Tom from the iScrap app. Today is Wednesday, June 19th, 2019, and we hope that everyone is doing well. I'm sure everyone's getting ready, putting their invitations together for the big barbecue to get ready for this G20 summit next week with a meeting between President Trump and President Xi. Hopefully we'll hear a couple more positive pieces of news coming out of that thing, and we do have a couple of pieces of news that we've heard in the last couple of days that we'll certainly talk about. But a couple of highlights from today's live update. Copper's up, steel's down. We're live every Wednesday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and we're really hoping that a week from now we're doing a special a special live update Thursday or Friday after hearing some good positive news. That is certainly our goal. So we're going to start with any questions that you have. Feel free to ask us. We've had a couple people ask us about some of the prices over the last week, and we're going to try to do a better job of giving you a little more indication during these live weekly reports. But don't forget, every Saturday we also have our weekly pricing reports where we throw out 20 or 30 prices that we've seen reported over the last week. So we've seen copper prices jump almost 10 cents a pound over the last 8 trading days. Now they are down slightly going into today's market after the nice increase of 6 cents that we saw yesterday. And a lot of people are going to ask, well, should I expect to see the prices going up, or should I hold on or sell my copper right now? Well, with the meeting coming up, these prices are going to be affected in a very roller coaster type of a manner. We heard President Trump yesterday tweet out that him and President Xi were going to be having an elongated meeting going into the G20 summit next week in Japan. After that went out there, we saw the stock market go up over 300 points, copper jumped 6 cents a pound, and optimism could be floating throughout the air. Now, those are news and different things that happen from one tweet. What could happen if we actually get a deal struck? Now, we've listened to a lot of people, and what we found is this. Most people, about 90% that we've talked to, do not expect a deal to be struck coming out of the G20 summit in Japan. So we don't expect to see anything hardcore happening, and the tariffs should still be in place. But what we are expecting to see and to hear is that we have the basic outline hammered out for a tariff elimination and trade negotiation and hopeful trade deal coming between the U.S. and China. Now, what does this mean for scrap metal prices? Well, it'd be a very positive thing considering so many prices are down in 2019. With copper prices nearing 2-year lows, steel prices nearing 2-year lows, if not at 2-year lows. Many other prices like aluminum and nickel also at 2 or multiple year lows. We've seen many of these metals that everyone sees in their everyday scrapping really become depressed. On top of that, we've seen the Chinese stop importing such materials as insulated copper wires, and that's going to cause a big disruption, and that's part of the reason that the prices are as low as they are. Now, if we can hear any positive news, I fully expect to see a 5 to 10 cent jump the next day in the copper market, if not the same day if it's earlier in the trading period. What's going to happen in the coming weeks and months is going to affect the overall market, but if you're looking for a quick pop in pricing, don't be surprised to see that happen next week around June 27th. Your scrapyard that you sell to might not have an immediate jump in pricing, but you might see a jump happening the week after if the market stabilizes. Sometimes good pieces of news that come out and increase the market don't always get stabilized, and sometimes upsetting news such as a mine closing, strikes happening at copper plants, those things could make a quick rise in the prices as well, only to come back down afterwards. What we're really looking for is stabilization, tariff elimination, and having a stable trade agreement between the US and China. That will really help the scrap metal prices, and hopefully by the end of 2019 that can be put into place. Now, many people continue to say that the Chinese are just waiting for President Trump to go into his re-election campaign and potentially not get re-elected, which would open up a new candidate or a new president to negotiate with, while others are saying, do we really want to pay these tariffs for such a long period of time? Now, on the scrap side of things, it's really been a very tough market to navigate as we've been watching them, trying to learn about them, and seeing how they're going to react due to the many tariffs that we've seen put into place. Now, it seems like the U.S. has been making a lot of deals with different nations, South Korea, Europe. We have the new elimination of the NAFTA deal. Now we have the USMCA coming into existence between the U.S., Mexico, and Canada. So we see a lot of different things that are happening right now that could be affecting the scrap market. Now, one thing that's a little misleading that's been crazy to watch has been the iron ore market. We're not talking about scrap steel or scrap light iron, which prices have gone down about $10 a ton, and we've seen light iron prices dipping below $100, most yards paying between $65 and $105 per ton over the last week from the reported prices that we've seen. Iron ore is the things that come right out of the ground, the actual ore that's getting mined. And the Chinese own a lot of these iron ore mines throughout the world, and generally are producing about 50% of the world's steel. Now, many people think that the Chinese product is a little worse than the United States product, but the iron ore price has continued to rise in all of 2019, while we've seen the scrap price going down, 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 down. What we're hoping to see happen is a little bit of a leveling off with the iron ore coming down and the scrap prices going up. But I really think that we need a very positive piece of news coming out before we see the scrap steel and iron market having a large increase. You know, we've seen some numbers for number one HMS, $130, $150, $175 per ton. We've seen unprepared prices anywhere from $110 to $180 per ton. It's been interesting to watch these things, thinking to ourselves only a short 3 or 4 months ago, these prices were $50 to $70 higher than they actually are today. What to do next? Where do we go from here? You know, we could talk about the precious metals market, and we saw the gold prices jump when the U.S. announced that there was going to be tariffs on Mexico before they were able to avert it and have a bit of a trade stabilization happen. We saw the gold prices jump to $1,330, $1,340 per ounce. As soon as we came to a bit of an agreement, those prices went down, but then they've come back up. We've seen the gold prices hovering around $1,345 per ounce at a 2019 high. Now we can pop over to another precious metal, and we're going to talk about a group of palladium, platinum, and rhodium, the three metals that primarily make up the catalytic converter refining market. And we've seen a 7 or 8% increase in the palladium and the rhodium market over the last week and a half to 2 weeks. Well, all these things are going to affect different materials as we've seen the catalytic converter market increasing. It's been very interesting to watch some of the things that have been going on. We're trying to learn as much as we can, talk to as many people as we can, and it still seems that while these scrap prices have been lower than we would all like them to be, people still continue to be finding more scrap. Demolitions seem to be happening because the economy as a whole in the United States has been doing very strong. So old buildings are going to continue to come down, new ones are going to continue to go up, and companies are going to pay for these old ones to come down and new ones to go up, knowing that their return on the scrap is going to be less and it's going to cost them more money out of pocket to create a new product. But many don't look at it that way. They look at it as how much money can we make from renting or selling these spaces once they're up and running. All of these things contribute to the markets as they are, and we've been watching them closely. We've seen the gas prices take a 12 to 15% dip, the oil prices 12 to 15% down over the last 5 weeks, only to see them climb 3 or 4% this week alone. So watching these markets has been really, really difficult because they've been so all over the place, so sporadic, and they haven't had any real pattern in the month of May or June. So we've been watching these things, and really all of 2019 has been a very chaotic year for the scrap markets. So we've been watching these things, we've been monitoring them, we've been talking to people. We hear other scrap yards continuing to buy new equipment such as trucks and shredders, strippers, shears, and other things that could help them process and sort material. But at the same time, every time that we talk to yards, everyone seems to be doing the same thing, complaining about things that we can't control, metal prices. Now, we continue to watch these prices. We hope that they're going to go up. Why wouldn't we? Why would we want the prices to go down? But we know that these things are not easy to figure out overnight. The biggest thing that we can watch for and hope for right now is that we come up with a tariff and trade negotiation and deal with the Chinese. Virginia, we have a question?
We have a question from Joseph from our Facebook group.
Hi, Joseph.
He asked, what is current price for insulated number 1?
So insulated number 1, if it's like an 88% recovery material, we see the price is around $162 to $187 per pound, and we've seen that depending on different size loads. And most people, if you don't know that, that's like a 750 MCM wire that you would generally strip. On the conversation of stripped copper wire, we've seen those prices between $1.95 and $2.32. Overall, aluminum's been, relatively flat, with aluminum siding in the high 20s and low 30-cent per pound range. Sheet aluminum in the low to mid 20s. Aluminum cans in the high 20s to high 30s, depending on where you are. Stainless steel has really gotten hit, with most prices falling in the mid 20 to high 20s level. Lead prices have fallen. Car battery prices 15 to 22 cents a pound. And overall, this has just been a very tough market to deal with, as we've watched so many different metals eroding in 2019. Please feel free to post your ideas, your comments, your concerns, what you are hoping for to have happen out of this G20 summit and for the rest of 2019, as we're almost halfway through. We'll continue to get you the information to you. Look out for our Saturday report where we have lots of prices reported. But until next week, iScrappers, I'll scrap you later.